Right, here we go, folks. May has arrived, and somehow we are already diving into what could be a massive month for Celtic. The business end of the season is upon us, and the stakes couldn't be higher. There's silverware still on the line, eh? Potentially decisive derby looming on the horizon, and a fan base brimming with hope and anticipation. The energy is shifting. You can feel it. Something big is coming. And as always in the world of Celtic, it's not just about what happens on the pitch. Off it, there's plenty of noise too. Talk of kits interviews from players out on loan, and even a cheeky little media moment that stirred the pot a wee bit. Let's start with the vibe around the club this month. Celtic are entering May. With purpose. The squad looks sharp, the manager sounds focused, and the fans are locked in. It's not just about winning games. It's about finishing strong, lifting trophies, or maybe stamping down authority in the derby this weekend. All the pieces are there. And there's a sense that if this team finds that extra gear, they could wrap up the season with a bang. But as always, the Scottish football world has more going on than just what happens in 90 minutes. And this week, some of those stories are coming from voices we haven't heard in a while. Out of nowhere, interviews dropped featuring two players Celtic fans might have nearly forgotten about. Marco Tilio and Odin Holm. Both signed with a fair bit of excitement a while back, but things didn't go to plan. Injuries form and adaptation issues meant neither player made the impact expected, and both are now trying to find their feet again elsewhere. Tilio is back in Melbourne, turning out for Melbourne City, and his chat came across as genuinely thoughtful. He spoke from a place of reflection. There was no bitterness, just a young player trying to make sense of a journey that hasn't quite followed the script. He opened up about a move to Celtic and how there was real excitement around the project when he first signed. There was a buzz of vision and he wanted to be part of it, but fate had other ideas. He suffered a hamstring injury just before joining, and that ruled him out for months. Despite that, Celtic still went ahead and signed him. There was belief in his ability, belief that he'd overcome the setback. But once he got fit, the pace of the team, the tactics and the demands made it hard for him to catch up. He found himself always a few steps behind, always playing catch up. And for a young lad moving across the world, that's tough. He came across as an honest, down-to-earth bloke. No excuses. He knows he didn't hit the heights expected, but he hasn't given up, not even close. He said he still dreams of playing regular football in Europe next season. Whether that's at Celtic or somewhere else, only time will tell. But he's clearly determined to prove that he belongs on that stage. The question, though, is whether Celtic still see him as part of their long-term vision. And judging by how things have unfolded, you'd be forgiven for having doubts. He's got talent, no question, but in a squad that's only going to get stronger, especially in attacking areas, it's hard to see a clear pathway back into the fold. Then there's Odin Holm speaking from Los Angeles, where he's currently playing. In Major League Soccer, his situation's a bit different, but the story feels similar. He's still under contract with Celtic, and technically he could return. But the loan deal runs until the end of the year, and by the time he's back in Glasgow, next season will be well underway. It raises questions about whether there's really space for him in the squad going forward. It would have made more sense perhaps for him to return in the summer, go through preseason, and give himself a proper chance. But as it stands, he'll be rejoining mid-season, if at all, and that's never ideal. That said, he sounded confident, determined. He spoke with conviction, saying he still believes he can make it at Celtic. He wants to be a starter. He wants to fight for a place in a midfield that's already looking stacked. And while you have to admire that mindset, it's hard to ignore the reality. Celtic haven't had many success stories when it comes to players going out on loan and returning to become key figures. Ryan Christie is maybe the standout example. His time away felt like part of a plan. Go out, get experience, come back stronger. And he did exactly that. But that was a while ago. More recently, the trend has been the opposite. Players go out, fade from view, and eventually move on permanently. You get the sense that with Holm, the club are open to seeing how he develops, but aren't necessarily banking on him being a core part of the future. It feels more like a wait-and-see situation. There's potential there, but questions remain. Can he adapt to the pace? Can he compete with the depth Celtic already have in the middle of the park? It's going to take a massive step forward from him to change the narrative. Now, while all this was happening, another wee media moment sparked. A bit of fire among fans. Yesterday, during a press conference involving that other team across the city, a rather bold question came up. Would they be offering Celtic a guard of honor this weekend? And the answer, a firm no, not at all. Now it's the kind of response that you'd expect, really, but it's also the kind of thing that gets people talking. The mere idea of a guard of honor always stirs debate. It's one of those symbolic gestures that some see as sportsmanship, while others see it as unnecessary. But no matter where you stand, it definitely gets attention. Some fans online were quick to criticize the comment, saying it showed a lack of class. Others laughed it off. Personally, I think it's just part of the theater. Football is full of moments like this. Banter digs little jabs that add spice to the rivalry. And in this case, nobody was disrespected by name. It wasn't personal. It was just a line drawn in the sand. We're not doing that. Simple as that. It reminded me of last season after Celtic clinched the league when one of the players did a wee impersonation of a rival and the internet nearly exploded. Same energy. And let's be honest, after battling all season and coming out on top, you've earned the right to enjoy it. These players give everything to win titles. So if at the end they have a bit of fun or poke a bit of fun, I don't have a problem with it. It's part of the game. Not everyone has to agree, but I don't think it's a big deal. Football is full of different personalities. Some will be more reserved, others more playful. That's what makes it entertaining. And frankly, we need more of that. The game's become so polished and PR-driven that a bit of cheekiness is refreshing. It reminds us that beyond all the tactics and stats, these are human beings with emotions and rivalries just like the rest of us. Speaking of emotion, there was a touching moment after the weekend match when one of the Celtic players opened up about a teammate. In the dressing room after full-time, he took a second to reflect on what it meant to see his mate wearing the armband. He talked about the journey they've shared, the ups and downs, the bond that's been built over years of playing together. It was heartfelt. He said he felt genuine pride, not just for what his teammate has achieved, but for the fact that he's been part of that story. That connection, that loyalty, it runs deep. And in a sport where things move fast, it was nice to hear something so grounded. Moments like that remind you what this club is really about. Beyond the trophies and headlines, it's built on relationships, on shared experiences, on players who care. That's what makes the highs so high and the lows so painful, because it matters, because it means something. And right now, as we head into the final stretch of the season, there's a real sense that this team is united, focused, hungry. There's also some chat about the Scottish Cup final. We now know it's scheduled for Saturday the 24th of May, kicking off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It'll be broadcast live, of course, and already there's talk about ticket allocations. One club has reportedly secured a large share of the tickets, supposedly stretching all the way to the halfway line on the side facing the cameras. From a TV perspective, that makes it look like a fair split. But we all know how this works. Do the maths and something feels off. Hampden holds about 52,000, give or take. Sure, a chunk goes to sponsors and corporate partners, but even then there's suspicion that the other club is getting more than it seems. Maybe down low it looks balanced, but up top, that's another story. And it's been confirmed that any unsold seats still have to be paid for by the club that requested them. So if sections are empty, they still cover the cost. Not ideal for the atmosphere, is it? We saw that in the semi-final. It felt a bit flat at times because of those gaps in the stands. It's the same debate we have every year. Ticket splits, artificial pitches, league restructuring, always bubbling up before cup finals. But my views never changed. Cup finals should be shared. 50-50 as close as you can get. It creates a better spectacle, a better experience. Remember the final a few years ago when we beat our rivals Incredible Day. But the crowd was about 90% Celtic. And while that was great for us, it didn't feel like a proper final. It felt a bit one-sided and not just on the pitch. You want that buzz, that tension, that split atmosphere. That's what makes cup finals special. A fairer ticket distribution would go a long way. Give more fans a chance. Maybe someone who hasn't been to a game in 10 years finally gets a seat. That's magic. That's what football's about. It won't solve everything, and I know it won't please everyone, but it would make the day feel more like a true celebration of Scottish football. Balanced, passionate, unforgettable. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Celtic captain Callum McGregor has broken his usual calm demeanor with a stinging rebuke aimed at one of his own teammates, Japanese forward Daizen Maeda. In a post-match interview that's already sent shockwaves through Parkhead, McGregor didn't mince his words, claiming that Maeda is contaminating the dressing room with what he called a damaging mentality. The rare public dressing down from the skipper has set tongues wagging, not only amongst the Celtic faithful, but across the whole of Scottish football. It's no secret that tensions have been rising within the Hoops camp, especially following a string of lackluster performances that have left fans questioning the unity and hunger within the squad. McGregor, normally the embodiment of professionalism and diplomacy, appeared visibly frustrated after the latest disappointing draw. And when asked about what's going wrong behind the scenes, he pointed directly to Maeda's influence. "He's bringing a kind of energy we don't need," McGregor said, his jaw tight with emotion. "It's not just about work rate on the pitch, it's what you bring into the group, and right now it's not right." Maeda, who's known for his relentless running and disciplined play, has not responded publicly, but sources close to the dressing room suggest this isn't the first time players have been uneasy about his presence. While some appreciate his commitment, others reportedly feel he's become increasingly isolated from the rest of the group. Failing to connect both on and off the pitch, McGregor's choice to go public has raised eyebrows. Was it a tactical move to shake things up, or a boiling over of months of behind-the-scenes friction? Whatever the case, Brendan Rodgers now faces the difficult task of restoring harmony within a fractured squad. With the title race far from over and Rangers breathing down their necks, the last thing Celtic need is an internal feud becoming front-page news. But it's there now, and all eyes will be on Maeda in the next match, not just to see how he plays, but how the team responds around him. Would you like a follow-up article exploring the reaction from fans or Brendan Rodgers' response? Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.